Hi all, and welcome to the first video in a series called How to Win Paladins. Thanks for watching. There's a lot that goes into climbing the ranks, so we're going to focus on some key concepts to give you and your team the advantage in ranked matches. With 4 unique character classes in Paladins, I feel it's appropriate for this first video to discuss the unique properties of each class, where to position yourself while playing those classes, and who your primary targets should be. This guide will be incredibly valuable for new players, and it will also provide some additional insight to more veteran players. Of course, there are many factors that go into winning, so this video should be viewed as a general guideline while understanding there will be many situational exceptions where you'll have to use your own judgment to make the best play. With that said, I hope you'll find this informative, and please leave a comment if I missed something, if you think I got something wrong, or if you want to add to the discussion. As you likely know, Paladins teams consist of 5 members with 4 classes to choose from: damage, frontline, flank, and support. Each has their own important role to play. Winning at Paladins requires a considerable amount of teamwork and positioning, so you want to make sure you know your job, you do that job, and hopefully your teammates are doing theirs. The main focus of this video will be capturing the point, and in future videos we'll talk more about what to do on offense and on defense. Before we get into specific roles for each class, take a look at this. Although there's a lot of variety in the maps you'll be playing, they're all built basically the same. They're symmetrical with the objective point in the middle, with spawn points and goal points at opposite ends. The goal, of course, is to capture the point and push the payload from the center point to the enemy's goal. Usually around the center point, it's open area represented with the yellow here, and there's generally some sort of architecture which provides cover around the point on each side. That's those black lines. And also there's at least one area in each map that I call the choke point. Either it's a corner you need to turn, or it's an area that forces you at a disadvantage on offense, where the defensive team can set up and wait for you to pop your head around the corner or through a squeeze point. The specifics on each map vary, but for the purpose of this video, this map will do just fine to help get the idea of where you should position yourself on any given map. So now that that's out of the way, take a look at this. First up is Damage class, which is one of the most popular choices in the game, and there's certainly a lot of variety within the Damage class, so much in fact that I'll have to make a separate video just to go in depth with all the specifics, but in general, the Damage class job remains the same. No matter which champion you're playing, your job is to put the hurting on the opposing team. Your major focus as a damage champion is to fill the point area with bullets or explosions, and in many cases, both. This makes capturing the objective difficult for the opposing team. Anyone who comes near the point is your target, but remember, the other classes are not as effective as you are at bringing down frontline champions. So generally, make the frontline champions your main target, but if there are other squishier champions near the point, you can pick them off quickly and then get back to bringing down the front line. Getting a single kill is a big deal in Paladins, as you'll be playing 5 versus 4, which is a huge advantage for capturing and defending the point. As you can see on this position chart, you'll generally want to hang in the back and sidelines where you have the angles to put the damage into the point while keeping a line of sight with your supports. Enemy flankers will be trying to get behind your team to take down your healers, so position yourself to help them out. After all, your team can fall apart really quickly without that sweet healing. You may find that you don't have the best line of sight to hit enemy backlines like healers and backline damage players, but that's okay. Focus on bringing down the enemy front lines and watching your healers back. And if the enemy backline wanders forward into your line of sight, you can melt them like the squishies that they are. Overall, your job is to make sure the enemy team regrets standing anywhere near that point. Similar to damage and easily just as popular is the flank class. Flanking can be a lot of fun due to the variety of cool weapons and even cooler movement abilities at your disposal. Flanks can get to places on the map that others can't access, and they can get there faster than anyone else. Except maybe Rom. Flanking is also incredibly frustrating for new players on account of them typically having low max health. If you're trying to play near the objective, for instance, the enemy damage will just tear you apart in no time. So understanding proper positioning is essential to unlocking the deadly force known as flank. The best flankers are always moving, focusing mainly on picking off the support characters who are hanging out in the enemy backline. You can use your speed or stealth abilities to surprise attack enemies from the sides, or even better, get at them from behind. Most flank characters can do a quick burst of devastating damage, which allows you to secure the kill before enemies react. And that's good, because your pitiful health won't sustain you from enemy damage for very long. So keep an eye on your cooldown timers and get ready to burst and then run. You want to stay away from the point and instead hang out in the corridors to the sides of the point and around the enemy team's backline. People often run to the corridors to get out of the battle and try to recover health. That's your chance to finish off the enemies who are fleeing from the point. Getting behind the enemy backline has many advantages too. One of them is that you can cause the enemy support characters to run forward to the point, trying to avoid your attack, but it puts them in the line of sight of the rest of your team, so it's not the safest place for those support characters. Another advantage is you can dismount the enemies who are respawning, which slows the enemy team down from trying to get back to the point. But be careful when you're playing on the enemy side of the map, because while you're making your move on the supports in the backline, just be aware that damage champions are nearby and you're in their zone, and if they get you in their sights, you are in trouble. Also be aware that enemies are respawning behind you and they're coming back to the point. So don't be caught off guard and always have a plan to get back to your team, or at least out of the enemy's sight. Remember, it's much better to run away from a fight and live than to overextend yourself and die. Dying wastes precious time and you can put your team in a 5 versus 4 disadvantage. So yeah, flanks get behind the enemy team, they pick off unsuspecting victims, they focus on killing supports as primary targets, snipers as secondary targets, and always keep an eye out for enemies with low health who are fleeing for cover. You survive by moving in and out quickly, striking fast and hard, and you get away before the other team has a chance to react and take their shot. Frontline. Protect the point. Frontline characters are defined by their powerful self-sustaining options. They're equipped with high health bars and a variety of abilities to help disable enemy attacks, such as shields, stuns, walls, self-healing, relentless firepower, and any combination of those abilities. Your main role is to occupy the point, protect your allies, aid in damage, and disable opponents. You don't have a specific target enemy, more so keep an eye out for low health enemies and help to finish them off. You want to put your team at that 5 versus 4 advantage and watch the other team fall apart. Your supports are going to be your best friends, and the two classes are pretty codependent. The frontline absorbs damage as the support attempts to keep the frontline alive with healing. Protect your supports and they will protect you. Like I said, your main role is to occupy the point. You'll find that this often means standing directly on the point and using your shielding talents and self-sustain to rack up the timer. Generally, you're duking it out with the opponent's frontline champions and they're trying to occupy the same space as you, so you're in the center of the fight most of the time. Although you will need to take advantage of hiding around the architecture when your health is low, so you avoid dying. It's okay to fall back and regroup, and then push back again when your health and your team are at full. If your enemy is set up on the point, you may have to tank from your side of the point and slowly push your way back into control. Conversely, if your team wins that first skirmish for the point and you're sending enemies back to spawn, it's often a good idea to go to the enemy's side of the center area while your backline support or damaged characters stand directly on the point for capture. This allows you to capture the point while keeping enemies farther away. Usually the map opens up outside of the capture area and you'll have better sight lines to attack incoming enemies, and you'll see which direction they're coming from. You'll also be able to fall back behind the walls for cover, as in most levels there's architecture surrounding the point. Just like flank characters, you don't want to overextend as a front line. If you're playing aggressively on the enemy side of the point, make sure you're close enough to fall back if you need to, and always stay within sight of your supports. Many frontline players plant themselves directly on the point and stay there, which is okay, but it's better if you act as if your job is to protect the point and make sure it's safe for your team to be there. Sometimes that means a direct confrontation in the center, other times push forward to keep an advantage, and other times it means falling back and regrouping. Staying alive is your top priority, so do what you have to do to stay alive and keep the pressure up on the other team. Support. You are the healer, and the majority of your role is to keep the frontline champs alive so they can keep absorbing damage while also firing at the enemy squad. Healers can do some decent damage in Paladins, but don't get distracted from your role, which is of course keeping the team alive. Each support is unique, so take the time to get to know your abilities and how they work, and also don't forget to help your damage and flank teammates who generally have less health, so they require less effort to heal and get back into the fight. Supports generally want to stay back behind the point and behind the tank characters. That way they have a good line of sight to heal teammates and to get some damage in to help finish off kills. Use the architecture at the back and at the sides for cover if you're taking fire, and keep healing your team while you're out of harm's way. Your team will be incredibly tough to kill if you keep a steady dose of those sweet health points coming, so keep it up. Try to position yourself so your team can cover you. After all, if a support goes down, the rest of the team is much easier to kill. It's going to be tempting to always hang back and cast your healing, but remember, enemy flankers are coming for you, so adjust your playstyle accordingly. If you keep getting attacked from behind, try hugging close to your front line or to the sides of the center area. You are a high priority target, so be flexible with your positioning and be aware of where your team is. If you need to, you can usually find a damaged teammate who's hanging back and stay in proximity to that damaged character, which gives you the best odds to fight off an enemy flank. All in all, your primary focus is your own survival and your frontline survival. Your secondary focus is on the rest of the team. And lastly, don't forget to do damage. You can rack up plenty of kills and assists as a support. Just make healing your top priority. Now that you understand your basic role in positioning, try it out in a match and let me know how it goes. Did I miss anything? Do you have insight that can help? Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it helps you take your gameplay to the next level. Please like and subscribe, it really helps. And if you want more specific tips or you want to join the Go Chaos Gamer community, feel free to join my live streams on Twitch or hang out with everyone in our Discord. Links are in the description. Now get out there and tear it up. Remember, life is good.